All right. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining. If you wouldn't mind, as you're joining, please share where you're from and your role as we continue to let those folks kind of roll in. Matt, I know the last time we talked, you were headed to Austin. Did you head down there? Is it 100 degrees yet?
Not yet, not yet. So yeah, I was there last week, and it was nice. Not too bad weather for
Yeah.
sure. So
I talked to my mom and she said it's supposed to be over 100 this week. So you hit it at the right time.
yes, yep. I was very happy to get in and get out before the too much of the heat. It's the humidity that's just another whole level.
Right. That's right. Again, we'll give you guys a few moments. Please share where you're from and your role, and we'll get started here in just a minute. All right, I see some folks are rolling in here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Cole Henderson. I'm an account executive here at Highwire. Been here for 3 years now, and we are here to talk about your Highwire score, understanding what it is and how you can actually improve it. And I'm joined today by Matt Buzzetta, who is the safety director at NOVO Construction. And I'll turn it over to Matt to give a little bit more background on himself. He can do a better job than I can. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. Hello, everyone. As Cole mentioned, my name is Matt Buzzetta, safety director with NOVO Construction. I joined Novo about 9 years ago. Prior to that, I've had 16 years of experience in the safety industry, including general manufacturing, public, and the construction industry. Novo is a trusted general contractor serving the San Francisco Bay Area since 2000. Over the past 25 years, Novo's established itself as the largest tenant improvement contractor in the Bay Area. Significant portion of our work, approximately 85%, comes from repeat customers across various sectors, including technology, professional services, and life sciences. Our services encompass a wide range of projects, such as office interiors, R&D labs, manufacturing facilities, site work, and infrastructure upgrades. Beyond our expertise, Novo is known for our commitment to safety. We are recognized as an industry leader in safety best practices, prioritizing the well-being of our employees, the clients, and throughout our project. Our dedication has been recognized with numerous safety awards over the years, and we are honored to have received Highwire's highest award, the Platinum Safety Award.
Matt, thank you so much for the introduction. Thanks for being here. We're obviously really excited to have you be a part of this webinar. And you obviously touched on quite a few things as the why we're kind of here in the first place. And we were talking about doing this session, preparing. You're obviously extremely passionate about safety as reflected in the organization as well. Why is that?
Passionate about safety. Couple different things. One, I really like helping people. Coming from the public safety field and everything, it's kind of the responding to situations. This now in my current field with NOVO Construction, it gives me the opportunity to be proactive and prevent incidents. So it's kind of why I'm passionate about what I do. A lot of it is working with our subcontractors on a daily basis to either prevent incidents or recover from the situation of, some past situations there.
And you obviously have a bit of a unique perspective, especially when it comes to Highwire, as both, as general contractor, you're used to doing work with clients who have used Highwire before. So you kind of understand what it looks like on that side. But then you also have a lot of different subcontractors who work with you, who you kind of want to use that same process to understand the risks that they might present. And I know that's kind of been your unique perspective over the several years you've been working with Highwire.
Yeah, so we started as a client of Highwire using the system to, assess our own safety records and program. And then we decided to, we saw the value in Highwire across many different sections of the availability of Highwire throughout that safety assessment, and decided to actually instill that into our program as a general contractor for all of our subcontractors too. So all of our subcontractors are required to go through Highwire as that third party, safety assessment tool to assess their program and any lagging and, like I said, leading indicators on that side.
It's great. Well, with that in mind, let's go ahead and kick this off. So hopefully at the end of this session, everybody that's listening, we'll cover three things, right? Find out what your safety score is, how you can assess the different safety programs that you have, or maybe why you don't have them in the first place, and then review what those different lagging and leading indicators are in Highwire and if they are accurate or correct. So with that in mind, I'm first going to start with just a little bit of context to talk about what is the Highwire Safety Score. So the Highwire Safety Score was created over 15 years ago at Harvard University by the folks who were on that construction safety team, trying to understand the different risks of subcontractors coming on site to work on their projects. So they developed this over time. It is a calculation of risk using standard inputs, 0 to 100. The closer to 100, the better. But what it's not doing, and what I think Matt's also saying, is it's not telling you yes or no. It's actually just helping you understand where you are and how you can improve. So for those listening who are already enrolled in Highwire, who have a safety score, you can find that pretty quickly by logging into your account and navigating to the left-hand side under the safety tab where you'll find all that information. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we're going to jump into some examples and demonstrate kind of how Matt used this at Novo to help understand the different risks and associated with these different contractors. So hopefully everyone can see my screen here. We're going to first start with this first example of Pool Lane Electrical. So it's a contractor safety assessment score. We're going to pull up this risk overview. Matt, what are some of the things that you notice?
So the color green, it's a great color in that sense, in the sense of your safety score. If you're seeing a lot of green, assessment being complete, 100% there, your safety score, your TRIR, your EMR, etc. Those are great, numbers in that sense. And Highwire indicates that with a green color to help everybody out.
That's what we talked about. It's a little bit, coming from Harvard, so it's a little bit academic, right? The closer you are to that 100, the better. And I know that you guys use this the same way that a lot of our clients do, where color coding those things, score above 80, generally pretty good. So you can feel good about some of the risks that are being presented there. And as we dive in a little bit further, again, you can see a little bit more context on how the score is broken down. And Matt, to your point, not a lot of things that are standing out here as far as, real big red flags. It looks like they've had one minor citation. And obviously, if we go to look at that, you can see it's something other than serious. It's for record keeping. So it makes you feel a little bit better as if opposed to that was a fatality or something a little bit more serious. Anything else that stands out to you, at least looking from the score here?
Yeah, so management systems, looking at 25 out of 30 points there available. That is one side that we will look at. And then also the safety documentation, 4 points deducted there. How I look at those is those are really easy points to get back. Safety documentation, once you get into that, it will actually specify what those documents are that are missing from your safety manual upload, and putting those systems in place at your company if you don't have those already in place, and then uploading those documents in Highwire in your profile will actually gain those points back. So this 88 immediately goes back up, 4 points for those deducted points there.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good point to make here, right? Even I've got a really good score, right? 88 out of 100, but there's still room for improvement with some things I can do down here. I could put you up into the 90s and make yourself even more attractive, not just with Novo, but with any other client you might be working with. I'm going to go back here to my contractor screen. We'll take a look at a different contractor. So let's look at a different example. Obviously, significantly lower score than before, as we saw. Again, Matt, what stands out about this one?
So again, having that assessment complete, going back to that colored green, it's awesome that the full assessment's complete, But looking at that red 51, that's a low score based on many different levels. The TRIR is green, good. EMR, below 1.90, that's also good. But what indicates why that score is 51, and again, that is on the lower end of the scoring system, is going to be the programs signified here in the bottom right. So 2 out of 45, getting into the programs and assessing what exactly is missing there. But 2 points out of 45 points is going to be low.
Yeah, and if I navigate a little bit further, go into the safety tab here, you can see where a lot of those deductions are coming from. To your point, it looks like their past safety performance is pretty solid, but there are a lot of things that they're missing from a leading indicator position, including just a ton of points being deducted for safety documentation. And so that indicates there's essentially a lot of ground they can make up and earn some of those point backs, as you were referring to before.
Yeah, exactly. The safety documentation, I mean, like you said, those lagging indicators, the EMR, DART, recordable case, fatalities, and OSHA experience scores all look actually really good. But getting into it more in depth of why their scores of 51 out of 100 is those 32 points deducted. And then getting again into the management systems and such, but specifically the safety manual documentation. These are going to be these items here are listed that are questions that were answered yes, but there was not enough information to support in the upload that was done in Highwire, or the lack of information that was uploaded in Highwire from the safety program for this contractor. So Highwire lists all of those items. Hopefully our contractor will then at least go through this and identify those in their safety manual and then upload those into Highwire so they can get those points back. Again, I look at it that this company has most likely a great program in place and everything. They just need to either upload it or make sure that they have the proper documentation to represent their program.
And a couple of points to make just off what you talked about. Scroll down a little bit further. Another way that you can view this, which I know you use as well, but being able to filter what these different items are. And actually, we're leveraging AI behind the system, behind the scenes in this tool to actually surface where we found those discrepancies that are kind of calling those things out where you saw the point deductions. Or if we see any positive indicators, those would also be listed here with the green stars. One of the other things you mentioned, which I know is pretty typical, you and I have talked about this, when you see something where there's this many points deducted, sometimes it's not necessarily a lack of those programs being in place. It might just be the wrong person maybe filled out the profile and didn't know to answer the question a certain way, right?
Yes, that has came up with our experience with reviewing our contractors. Either, a individual that's not familiar with some of the questions or how they're phrased, that ends up answering the question incorrectly. Or again, not uploading the specific documentation that is requested.
And from an upload perspective, and this is something that we've talked about throughout our relationship. Again, from a contractor perspective, it's fairly easy, right? It's just drag and drop or upload, so it's not like you have to enter a lot of these things line by line. We're trying to make it a little bit easier, and you also have the additional resource of our team. I know that you work pretty closely with those folks. If you need help reaching out to a contractor, they're having a difficulty, they can contact us directly as opposed to going straight to you, which can also be beneficial.
Yes, we are happy to help. But again, like you mentioned, Highwire has a great team of resources to help contractors and companies through the process of the safety assessment.
So one more thing before I navigate away from here. So we've noticed, pretty good past performance, but missing a lot on some of these future looking or leading indicators. On the flip side, what would you say if a contractor essentially had the opposite? If they had some poor safety performance, but maybe some weak, but not weak programs in place?
Yeah, so poor performance, past performance, but good programs in place is kind of the situation there. So in those sense, we kind of talk with our contractors and companies, History we can't really change. It's how we put it in play now. EMR, DART, recordable cases, even OSHA experience, all lagging indicators of how and what the company has done in the past. Looking at the safety programs, we take an account for those, putting in corrective action plans and such. And that's where we get in depth into the safety program. So, again, getting into the safety score for this individual company, the TRIR is high, EMR's higher than industry average, very close, but higher than industry average. But looking over at programs, they're only missing 10 points. So again, indicating that programs that are in place with this company, based on the questionnaire and the uploaded documents, is actually pretty successful on that side. But still maintaining a little bit lower score, getting into it a little bit more, that DART rate and recordable cases is where they are lacking.
Yeah. And I think to your point, they may not have the best past performance, but it looks like they've got some leading indicators in place, still some room for improvement, right? But at least here you're able to have that kind of conversation to understand, maybe there's a good explanation for why this is trending up, or maybe they've done something obviously to mitigate that now going forward. And that just allows you to have that conversation and ask those questions before, not after, right?
As a GC working with many subcontractors, that is exactly something that we look into, is the lagging indicators. We want to know why. Is it one injury? Is it multiple injuries that occurred? And then what are those injuries? And what has the company put in place to either prevent those in the future, right? So again, it may be a circumstance of one situation made their EMR go, elevated above the industry average and such, or it may be multiple. And those are the kind of the details that we look into. The lagging indicators of also, the length of, or the duration of it. If their score staying, consistently in that, or if it has elevated 1 year, what is that reason?
And I think it's a really great point to make, Matt, and especially the way that you guys use the system and the way a lot of our clients do as well, is that, again, the score is just one indication, but you have a lot of conversations. And I know you've talked with me a lot about, specific examples, but it's not just that because the score is a certain way today that you're not going to partner with them. You want to understand a lot of those underlying fundamentals about the why and then how that's trending over time. So it's not necessarily something that can exclude you. So the score isn't necessarily something that has to be really scary. Just it's a way to understand maybe the health of your own organization and how you can make some improvements towards it, right?
Exactly. And, for us, we put in corrective action plans. We come up with a plan with the contractor to, lower their overall rating and increase their overall Highwire score.
Yeah. So just because somebody maybe isn't already in the green right now, they could eventually trend that way. But even if they're not, they can still partner together. It's all about understanding it and mitigating that risk together, right?
100% agree. And it comes down to that commitment, who has that commitment for safety.
So now that we've obviously talked about and dissected some, I'll say real world examples, right? But those were demo contractors we put together just to kind of help paint the story. But can you expand a little bit more in depth about why these safety assessments and safety scores are so important to Novo?
So yeah, again, it's a risk evaluation overall. We're doing business with a lot of very high profile clients that, expect a level of professionalism, along with the, overall general requirement of being safe on a project, making sure that everybody goes home safe just as they came. But that's where it is. Some situations will actually, unfortunately, disqualify some subcontractors for working, with us or working with a specific client, based on, their scoring system. But again, that is where we come in to help them, work with them. But safety scores are very important, including, the side of Highwire, and what the full assessment is. Again, kind of going back to what we were just talking about, getting the full picture, right? The score is just one indicator, but down to the details that Highwire makes it available to us.
Right. And I know that one of the other benefits or that we've talked about is the visibility across the organization, right? So if somebody else notices, maybe a lower score, you can step in to help understand what that is and maybe room for improvement like we've been doing here with our examples.
Yeah, we've also had a situation with one of our contractors where we noticed a low score and we're able to step in and help them through the process of improving their Highwire score.
That's great. It's kind of what this whole notion of contractor success and the way that you guys view this is all about. What would you then say to a contractor who says, isn't what I have already kind of good enough, or is my score already high enough?
Yeah, so that's came up many times. We have different levels of qualification, and there are, other clients out there that I know do have that exact same, qualification of level of score. And, a contractor has met that level, and then they say, okay, I don't need to do anything else. I try to put it in perspective of why not, if you have the opportunity to be the best, then why not, right? And that comes down to taking yourself over that ledge of the automatic approval level. If it be that you're missing 2 points on documentation, definitely get those 2 points back by just uploading those documents. It's about advancing your program, overall, and improving your company safety for your employees.
And I think that's another important point to make is you guys don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk, right? The same thing happened again, back to the example of you guys do your own work for other clients who want to see those safety assessments. And you guys already had a really good score. I think you guys were already above 90, but you still took the extra step to get to go even above and beyond to get it even closer to 100, right?
Yes, exactly. So when we did our safety assessment with Highwire, we looked at it and we had a score of, I believe, like 93. And then we were able to, assess what was the reason for that. And we determined that there was some safety documentation that wasn't uploaded to Highwire. So we made sure to upload those documents and we're able to get our score well up almost to 100, obtaining that Platinum Safety Award.
And just for context for everybody who doesn't know already, in the system, if you score 85 or above, you get a gold safety award. If you do 95 and above, it's a platinum safety award. And the last time I checked, there's less than 5%, I think, of our entire subcontractor pool have that platinum award. So to your point, you guys were already good, but you could actually get better. And then obviously a lot of folks will use that as a marketing tool, right? Like it's your way to demonstrate to other folks, you can trust us from a safety perspective, which is reflected in the fact that Novo is doing so well, as you articulated in your intro. So let's jump here to the end and let's talk about, okay, we've learned a little bit about the score, what it means. So what can we do from here? So a couple of things to touch on after we've talked about some of these insights. But number one, make sure the person filling out your assessment actually has all the accurate information and can speak to some of those safety programs. So obviously, clients can see who's completed your assessment. Matt, I know you pointed out several times, being able to see who's done 100% of all the things that are being asked of them, that matters to different clients. And obviously, if you have any questions along the way with your ability to complete your assessment, you can contact a Highwire support team. And I'll show a slide here after this with contact information. Two, missing documentation can lower your score, as Matt articulated several times, even within their own score, right? No matter how good you're doing, there's always room for improvement. And being able to make sure that the documentation you're supporting is the most accurate, the most up to date. Three, if there's anything that's doesn't apply to your scope of work, there are several different questions that are being asked where you can have an NA option. So that obviously doesn't impact your score if it's not part of your scope of work. And then last, make sure you keep your account updated. Obviously, clients can see when you've signed in. People like Matt are obviously looking at that information to make sure it's up to date and accurate. So with that, thank you to everyone who joined. Special thanks to Matt for all the time, all your insights, and look forward to the next time we can connect again.
Definitely. Thank you.